We used to raise wheat every year. We always strive for 100 bushel wheat. That's one thing that we had always done. Went by and we got kind of bigger in farming. Wheat became somewhat of a hassle to raise for us in our operation with as many things that we were doing. The biggest issue about wheat is we were getting docked so much at the elevator. So we took wheat out of the operation for several years. And then in the fall of 24, because of the drought year that we had, as you know, wheat is always called the poor man's crop, right? So we felt like we needed that additional income coming into for revenue for the farm. So we put out 225 acres of wheat. It was real dry, planted with a drill like we always had. Didn't have a real good stand just because of the dry weather we had that fall. Actually had the insurance company out in the spring doing yield estimates on it. It wasn't great. We decided to go ahead and pursue the crop. We pushed the crop. We ended up with about 80 bushel yield, no dockage. We pushed it with foliar. We did with urea. We added urea to it and really pushed that crop. And that's how we ended up getting that 80 bushel yield, because they adjusted it at 33 that spring. It told us that we could really push the crop. So in the fall of 25, we decided to continue on with wheat. We didn't like using the drill because it's basically a contained spill, and we wanted more precision in planting wheat. So what we did was we went to our John Deere dealer. We got wheat plates for the planter. We had issues of getting the right plant population down. So about half of the 350 acres, we were shooting for a 1.4 million population, but about half those acres ended up getting about 1.8 million. And then once we got everything figured out, the rest of it was planted at 1.4. One other thing that we did this year that we hadn't done in the past, we sprayed down the residual. We put a gallon of humic down just right after planting with 10 gallons of 28% nitrogen with sulfur. Used a nitrogen stabilizer in with it. Got the wheat crop off to a really good start. And one thing that really intrigued us, we were working with Southern States, and about 2 weeks ago they came out and we were doing tiller counts on it. And what amazed us was that the tiller counts on the 1.8 million plant population versus the 1.4, the tiller counts were basically the same. And we credit that to the wheat still probably planted a little thick. So we're going to go a little bit less on our nitrogen application here in about 2 weeks. But as far as the overall crop and the health of the crop, we've probably got the best wheat crop growing right now. And especially through this cold weather that we're dealing with right now, with the snow cover on it, we feel really good about it. So we'll be applying a gallon of humic every time we go over it. You know, in years past, we always applied a gallon of humic at pre-plant on corn and soybeans both. And one thing that we have found with soil health and being able to, with the ability for the plant to uptake nutrients as it needs to out of the soil, we're going to be applying humics on every pass this year for the first time that we've ever done it. Some may say, is that a good financial decision in the tight margins that we're dealing with right now? But I think in times like these, you have to do the things that maybe you normally wouldn't to make sure we get the most yield potential out of our crop, to make the most bushels, the best ROI that we can get. Farm LLC is actually called 7th Gen Farms because he's a 7th generation on the Tucker Pemberton farm. When Stephanie and I got married 26 years ago, we raised a lot of tobacco. We quit raising tobacco about 4 years ago. We had gotten up to a little over 200 acres of barley production. And it just got to the point where margins were so thin, we just had to get out of that. But we had always been row crop farming somewhat. And now over recent years, and I'll be 50 in April, we're starting to try to figure out that transition into Nathan, coming up in the farm. He's got 600 acres of his own that he does. Steph and I run about 4,500 acres, and getting in that transition is very time consuming. And it's going to take a number of years to be able to do that for Nathan to be able to take over this whole operation in the next 10 to 15 years.
Most of our ideas are pretty similar, the same. And then if they're not, we come to an agreement pretty easy on whatever it may be.
When we were running corn and soybeans, Nathan actually made a comment about how important soil health is. just by looking at the yield monitor in the combine. And what we've done over the years, we're basically no-till farming. We do a lot of vertical tillage, which I don't necessarily call conventional tillage or no-till, but it's kind of a mix. As you know, we got a lot of slug problems around here, especially in soybeans. So that's why we do vertical tillage. But the big thing is that, Nathan's realizing in all the things that we've done over the last 25 years that, we have less lime use because of organic matters, and we've been keeping soil health up. We still apply lime, but not like we would expect to, I guess, so to speak. Humics have played a vital role in our farming operation over the years, but it does take a long time to see the fruition of what you've done, but you have to be consistent.
Just from what I noticed this fall is just from the combine, the yield, the way the plant is, it was strong, not folding over. For the lack of rain we had, I'd seen a lot worse crops around here, around everywhere. We've had worse crops in the past. And just from the good soil health and maintaining it and maintaining all the right things there, it's able to at least weather the rain, weather the drought a lot better than something that doesn't have proper nutrition or something that doesn't have a good history. It made a big difference there. Where I expected to have, 20, 30 bushel less, we still pulled through and, made some good bushel on some good corn that didn't really get a lot of rain.